So in today's video I wanted to talk about a subject that I feel like often confuses guitar players in the advanced realm while they're making that jump from intermediate to advanced, and that is chromaticism. It's something that I think a lot of us know exists, but maybe a lot of us don't know where to dip our toes in, so I want to share with you a nice, easy technique to start messing around with the sound and getting it under your fingers in as approachable and easy to use as a way as possible. Because again, I think it's really something that can be talked up a little bit more, so I wanted to share with you a couple approaches to start integrating chromaticism into your playing today. So what is chromaticism? Chromaticism is getting from one note to another using half steps only. So if I were to go from the note C to the note E chromatically, I would play C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. And it's this really exciting kind of sound because it's not using scales. It brings in a little bit of tension. Well, actually it brings in quite a lot of tension depending on how you do it. There I went to F, but that was a fun little line. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can apply this, because really all it does is tension. You kind of step outside of the realm of music theory. There's just some best practices to make this not sound like a garbage dump of notes. So the general rules for chromaticism is you want to start on a note that makes sense and you want to end on a note that makes sense. And so the first instance I get my students when we're working on improvisation or solo playing in general to work on chromaticism is we take something like, let's say, the G major pentatonic scale. You can use any major pentatonic scale. I'm just partial to the key of G for demo purposes. But let's say, and actually, let's make it the minor scale, just because that's maybe more applicable to a wider audience. So one of the first places that I get students to mess around with adding chromaticism is just putting, say for example, on these A, D, and G strings, what if you put in the 4th fret as well? So then this becomes this. And it just adds, because whenever you use chromaticism, whether you're ascending, or descending, you add just this little bit of excitement, because there's some notes that aren't necessarily there. And the good thing about this is using the pentatonic scale. I almost refer to the notes of that scale as your borders. And you're just kind of filling in all the space between the borders. So you're always starting on a note that makes sense and ending on a note that makes sense. So that was a super simple kind of G minor pentatonic idea where I went. And I think I did that. So really, really simple my G minor idea, and all I'm doing, if I wanted, I could throw, so I'm only chromatic on the G string. If I wanted to, I could throw in some on the D string as well. That would maybe sound like this. So that was da 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 da. And again, I'm just starting and ending on notes that make sense. Now if we went to a major scale, let's say it's still the G major pentatonic, you can throw that in anywhere really. So like in this one that I personally like to abuse quite a bit is, say, going chromatically from the 3rd up to the 5th. That's a really dramatic sound because now before we were only adding in 1 half step, here we're adding in 2. So that would maybe sound like, so here's just normal G major. Here's with those 2 chromatic notes added. Oh, I threw in an extra note, sorry. And it can be a really, really exciting sound to just kind of bring in. So that's something that I'd mess around with, is if you're in a bit of your scale and you know where some of these chromaticisms exist, or just in between any 2 border notes. So let's say again G major, what if I did, so there, I'm going all the way up, whatever your line is, but I'm just filling in the gaps between notes that are already there and are already good. So that's the first approach I wanted to share with you. You can do it pretty much anywhere because again, you can get away with murder with pentatonic scales, with chromatic scales, as long as you end on a note that sounds good and intentional. That's kind of the trick. But now the other step that I'll show you can create some really, really exciting kind of sounds. One would be the idea of enclosures. So I'm going to show you 3 different types of enclosures. But let's say I want a little bit of exciting chromaticism to start off my G major pentatonic or something like that. Or let's say we're in A minor. We'll go to the key of the people, the key and scale of the people. Let's say I wanted to do a simple pentatonic, but I wanted something ahead of that. The first one, I call it a direct surround. We would go 1 fret above our A. That's our target note. This is how enclosures work. We want to target a note. So we're going to go 1 above, 1 below, and then we're going to play the note. So we're enclosing the A. So this, it also works the other way. So that was a below and then above enclosure. This is above and then below. This same approach can be used a whole step above and then a half step below. That would sound, so now I'm playing this B, or you could do it here. You could also do it the other way. Where we're enclosing this note, and then the second one is still, I call it the 2 above, 1 below, where we would go. So I went whole step above my target note, half step above my target note, half step below my target note. We can also do this the other way. So that was da 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 da. We could also go da 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 or da 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 da. So there's a whole bunch of ways you can kind of start using chromaticism in there. If you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments. And if this is a topic you'd like to see more of, I'd love to do some more videos kind of demystifying this concept. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It truly helps me out more than you could know. If you want to support my lessons and the channel here, I have a Patreon, and you can sign up for that down in the description. You get a week's early access to videos, and you can help support me and all of the time that I put into this channel and these free lessons. Speaking of lessons, if you wanted to take a guitar lesson with me, there's a link in the description for that as well. I take on all genres and all levels of students, and I'd absolutely love to work with you on whatever's troubling you on the guitar. Last but not least, I got new videos coming out at least every Monday and every Thursday, so I hope to see you in the next one, and until I do, I'll wish you a wonderful day, and I hope you have some fun playing the guitar.